Hello, good afternoon. On the dot, 12 o'clock. Hello and welcome to today's session. My name is Heather Reynolds. I'm from Career Map, and today I'm joined by the team at JTL. Working in a sector where only roughly 2% of trades professionals are female, it's imperative that further action is taken to create a more diverse workforce. Whilst men have traditionally dominated jobs in construction and building services, there are increasing signs that this imbalance has been successfully challenged. And this is a process that's actively supported by JTL. JTL are one of the leading providers of apprenticeship training. JTL is committed to changing perceptions in the sector and understand that females are every bit as good at their jobs as their male counterparts. Yet there are still challenges in encouraging more women to take up a career within the industry. Today, we're speaking to a panel made up of JTL staff and former and current apprentices to discuss the reasons why more females should consider taking careers as electricians and plumbers, from excellent career prospects and salaries, all the way through to becoming a skilled tradesperson with a career for life. Before I introduce the panel members, however, let's hear from some JTL female apprentices on why careers as electricians and plumbers are not just for men.
When I first told my parents that I didn't want to go to university, they were a little bit shocked because they really thought I was going to go. And then they were even more shocked when I told them what I actually wanted to do, which was obviously coming into the construction industry. And as a female, that is quite rare.
I like the expression on people's faces when I tell them I'm an electrician. I like the fact that when I go and get petrol for my van, I jump out of a transit and people are all like, oh, it's a girl. Because it's not the norm, it's not the usual, it's a man's trade. But there's nothing stopping a girl from doing it.
There is a stereotype in the construction industry that only men can do it because you need to be strong, because you need to have this and that. But actually, I've gone into the construction industry and I've done really well in my college exams, I've done really well in my college practical. I've had really good reviews from clients that we've gone and done work for. And I think it's made a lot of people realise that girls can do it too.
The schools nowadays, I think it's really important that they're pushing this sort of thing out to youngsters, particularly to girls at school, because we need to really get rid of the stereotype that this sort of industry isn't for girls and girls should be nurses or hairdressers and things like that. And I think it's really important that that message comes from school and that they can see that apprenticeships is a really good option for them to have.
My children absolutely love it. They're really proud to tell everybody that their mum's an electrician. I went to parents' evening, in fact, not last night, the night before, and the teachers all know me, you know, already from Ollie, and telling them, oh, my mum's like, oh, you're the electrician, mum. And then as soon as that, we weren't even talking then about Ollie's schoolwork. It was, I've got a problem with my lights downstairs. So, yeah, it's good, and it does make you feel quite proud. If my boys are proud of me, that makes me proud. So,
my message to females would be, don't have any doubts or fears of your own capabilities. You are strong enough to do it. You are brave enough to do it. Just go for it.
I would definitely recommend an apprenticeship for anybody. I mean, girl, boy, someone my age, single mums out there that have, like me, gone through a breakup, and you're now looking at how can you support your family.
But yeah, you might be scared at first, but once you start, once you get to know the people you're working with, and once they get to know you, they'll realise you're just like anyone else and that you can do just as much as they can.
If you've got it in you to try and you want to get somewhere, and if, like me, you were later on in life trying to attempt it, just do it. I mean, you've got nothing to lose.
Brilliant. What a good video that is. Right then, so before I go on to introduce the panel, we're just going to start with publishing a poll If you can just take a look at the right hand side of your screen under the polls icon, if you can take a few moments to take part. It's just gone live now. So it's asking which apprenticeship are you interested in? There's plumbing and heating, electrical, and heat and ventilation. So I'll just give you all a few, say 30 seconds to cast your votes, and then we'll move on to the panel discussion. So it's 50-50 for plumbing and heating and electrical, nothing at the moment for heat and ventilation. I think if this poll ends and you didn't have a chance to cast your vote, just pop your answer in the chat. It's still good for us to know. Right, so countdown down 10 seconds now. Right, okay, great. Right, 66% plumbing and heating, 33% electrical, nobody for heat and ventilation, but that might change as the session goes on. So, right then, taking part in our session and discussion today, if I can just ask everybody to turn on their cameras and give us a wave, our panelists. Thank you. Right then, so I'll start with Ibrahim. We've got Ibrahim Khan, current JTL Fire Security and Emergency Systems Apprentice working with Drake and Taylor. Hello.
Hi. You're right.
Yeah, great. We'll move on to Megan Wheatley, former JTL apprentice and qualified electrician, also working for Drake and Taylor. Hello. Lily Clark, JTL training officer and former JTL plumbing apprentice.
Hi.
So it's like we're on a quiz show. And Nikki Cowan, JTL product manager. And in the background, we've also got Lindsay Talk. She's a JTL product manager, and she's working behind the scenes, asking or answering any questions that come in on the chat during the panel discussion. So without any further ado, what I'll do is I'll just ask everybody to turn their mics off, unless I'm directing a question at them. It just helps a little bit. So first question is for Lily and Megan. And the question is, as former JTL apprentices who've experienced training to become fully qualified plumbers and electricians, these are traditionally careers that have been dominated by men. What do you think the challenges are to encourage more women to take up trade roles? And do you think there are any misconceptions of female tradespeople? I suppose, Lily, if we go to you first.
Sure. Yeah, well, I for one, was never one to be pushed into this kind of industry. Luckily for me, I just fell into it. But being at school, I would never thought that I would have done something like this. And to be honest, I think it was the best thing that I ever done. People just assume that it's a man's world in this industry. You can't get your nails done. You can't have your hair nice being a woman in the trade, which I always seem to have done, and it was fine. And also strength issues. Women can't lift heavy items, etc., boilers onto walls. But it's never been an issue. There's always someone there to help if you do struggle. And yeah, I just think it's a great opportunity for anyone, male or female.
Brilliant. Megan, what are your thoughts?
I think the same. I think as well, embarrassment as well. I mean, there's been quite a few times where I've been working and I've not been quite sure of what I'm doing. And so I have to ask, and then I think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But then it's fine because there's other people in the same boat as you.
Great. Well, you've actually just, Megan, just touched on something there. Do you have any experiences that you can share about, when you first started out, and how and are things changing these days? If we can just ask you both the same question.
Well, I remember my first day at college, and I'd literally started my apprenticeship the day before. So I was out at work on the Monday and then I was in college on the Tuesday. So I'd literally never worked with any sort of pipe work. I didn't understand anything around plumbing, and it was just so daunting because I was the only female in the whole college. And that first day I thought, no, I can't do this. I'm well in over debt. A lot of the guys there had been on the tools for quite a while, so they were more experienced. And I thought, no, can't do it. But I stuck at it, and it was the best thing I've ever done. The guys in my class were so good. They helped me a lot. They were just great. And a few weeks in, I thought, yeah, I can do this. Why was I ever doubting myself? It's not hard at all.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I've had the same as well, actually. I mean, I did a job for my nan last weekend, and she was saying to me, to my face, you can't do this. You're a girl. You can't do it. It's like, okay. And I did it, and she was actually really, really impressed with it. She got my uncle to double check it as well.
Oh, brilliant. But how good is it to prove somebody wrong, though, in a situation like that as well?
Yeah.
Like, the thrill must be brilliant in that respect. Brilliant. Ibrahim, question for you. As a current apprentice in building services engineering sector, what are the top 3 reasons that you would give any females interested in starting an apprenticeship to encourage them to take up a career in the trades?
Sorry, issues with my mic. 3 reasons to take up a industry in the trade is: 1, it's a never dying business. I mean, you're going to be in work for pretty much life, because buildings are always going to be getting erected. They're always going to need to be maintained. Someone's going to have to come check them, make sure that they're all running all right. So it's a really good industry to get into because, like I said, you're always going to have work there. Also, it's a trade work is something you could take with you abroad into another country, anywhere you want to go, plot yourself anywhere. You know, I really believe that that you can literally do it anywhere. So in that term, I reckon it's really good to get into. It also really pushes you in this industry out of your comfort zone. I know, like the girls, Megan and Lily, have said that they felt uncomfortable and they felt out of their depth at times. And even as a man, you know, I feel the same way. But once you really push yourself through, you feel a sense of accomplishment and that, you know, I'm actually doing something and I'm building stuff with my hands. Yeah, and also, yeah.
It must be really good. I actually have this conversation about, well, obviously I work in early careers, and one of the things that I think must be so satisfied is to actually have a job that's physically done, you know, to do something physical and to see it, and then
Yeah,
that
from
is
start to finish, it's really, it's really nice to see.
And you can see it, you know, you can see it working, you can genuinely see the fruits of your labour. And especially if you're doing it for individuals as well. Obviously, we're talking about, you know, doing a job for your nan, to actually be able to say, I've seen the whole thing through and now I can even see it working in practice. And it must be the same on jobs as well, to actually be able to leave customers and know that you've like A, fixed something for them, B, made a change. Like, it must feel very positive. I mean, if I can just put that out to the girls, you know, in terms of what is it like from a job satisfaction perspective? You know, is it what you thought? You know, how does it actually feel on the day to day doing work for people?
Well, I used to love turning up at people's door and saying, "Oh, it's a girl." Yeah, like we say, it's people are shocked, but it's shocked in a good way. You never really get any negativity towards being a female. Slight bit of doubt sometimes, but even more, you want to prove that you can actually do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see the end product when you're installing, or you've got a little old lady that's had no heating or hot water for weeks, and you go in there and you make their day. You're making people happy at the end of the day, especially in a freezing cold winter day when you're fixing their boilers. So yeah, I think that's what gets you up in the morning. Know you're going to help people out in a way.
Yeah, Brilliant. Megan, what do you think?
Sorry, I don't know. Sorry, can you say the question again?
Yeah, it's just about like how you feel. How do you feel on a day-to-day basis doing a job, making an actual difference to somebody's life, and actually doing a piece of work and walking away? Is there the satisfaction, you know, in real life terms of actually thinking I've done a job there, I've made a difference? You know, must feel very different to, you know, other jobs that are out there where it's maybe not so visible, or you don't have that interaction with individuals in the same way.
Yeah, no, it's nice, especially like when you've got people like what Lily said, old people, for example. I mean, some people get quite scared maybe having a male in their house and things like that. But just being there, it sort of can be comforting as well. Even if it's like just a light down the alleyway, they get home safe, or a camera, things like that. It's just safety. It's just nice to know that that person's going to be safe and feel safe.
Brilliant, thank you. Nikki, I'd like to bring you back into my original question to Ibrahim, which was around what 3 reasons you'd give to females thinking about starting an apprenticeship and encouraging them to take up a career. Can you kind of chip in on that for us?
I think, you know, some of the cliche kind of trades that people were mentioning earlier, hairdressing, health and beauty, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with those. If you want to do that, enjoy. But from a starting salary respect and potential earnings respect, this is a different league. This is an absolute different league. And why should females miss out on that? They're perfectly capable of doing these jobs. And I do think it kind of stems back to a bit like we said earlier on, back to careers advisors, schools, and parents, grandparents, families, you know, that it's not the first thing people think of. So it's not the kind of pathway we potentially might get steered down. There's opposites to that. Some people deliberately go against what they get advised to go and do. And then that can work out really well as well. So I think, you know, the rates of pay and what you can earn can be fantastic. The other thing is I don't think people appreciate just what a range of roles you can go into once you're in these trades as well. You know, you could go on to sort of planning, you could focus on the health and safety, you could go into contract management. There's a whole host, I mean, that was just a minuscule amount. There's so many different specialisms that you can go into as well. And I do think, you know, when it might be a little bit much for you to take on board initially, but something to consider is the kind of employer you might want to look at for that too, because there's huge advantages of being with a small employer, someone local, someone who gives you that one-to-one support. There are also some advantages to larger companies, regionals, even nationals. Dark and Taylor are an excellent example. They do a whole host of apprenticeships. I think they do 4 or 5 different apprenticeships, but they're based in Oxfordshire, but they work across England into London, home counties, you know, and the range of experience that they can give their learners as a bigger organisation is fab too. Housing associations are great, a bit like you were saying about going into an elderly person's house, a female's house. Housing associations are a great example of where they really encourage more female apprentices to go into trades, because they may have vulnerable adults, young people that are going into the homes of, and actually actively encourage having females as a part of those teams to make their tenants, I suppose is the right word to use, feel more comfortable when work needs doing too. I think don't forget as well, and it links in, is you can do higher level apprenticeships, degrees. I noticed Yasmin asked that question a little bit further back she said, do you plan on doing any further qualifications after your apprenticeship? Absolutely. Yasmin, what an excellent question, because it's rare I see people from the very beginning of that journey thinking about that as well. And you're absolutely right. There's so many other pathways you can take, but actually you can go on and do other levels of qualification. Most of ours are level 3. We do a couple of level 2s, but you can go on and do level 4s, 5s, degree apprenticeships. Don't let this think this needs to be the end of your journey. It might not be that you do it immediately after finishing your apprenticeship. It might be that it's something you want to do in a few years' time, or a longer term plan for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And a lot of employers encourage their own staff to do those degree level apprenticeships and things as well. So the employer you start out with might well be able to support you through those higher levels of apprenticeship and take you on a further pathway with the journey. Sometimes it'll mean a change of employer. It doesn't always end up that it's the same employer you stay with all the way through. But I think that's the same for any business and any job you go into. But don't forget that longer term plan as well. So money sounds brutal, but at the end of the day, it's what's going to pay our bills. And it's going to be what gives you that freedom. And it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're a 16-year-old coming into this, or like in the video examples, you had the single parent mum with children, so for example, these can be careers that you can afford to run your own homes. We've just had our company conference and we had some of our learners come in, by the time some of those had finished their apprenticeship, they'd already bought their first home.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many industries where that's a thing.
No.
And it genuinely happens. I really don't. I love what we do. I love the degree, the apprenticeships that we offer, and the level of support that you can get given in any of these trades. It's about what's right for you, though, and do think about your employer, because I think it makes a difference as well. Whether you want that little local effect, whether you want to be going out nationally and you want to be working away from home and out in the van all day, think about what you want from it, because that's going to be what changes how you feel about your apprenticeship and whether it's right for you as well. So yeah.
Well, Nikki, if we can just stick with you, because something that I think would be interesting for everybody here to know is that they might be thinking, right, this sounds brilliant, but I have literally never touched a piece of plumbing equipment in my life. I don't have qualifications that are linked to it. I have no idea where to start with an earth wire. But I'm interested, but I literally I don't know where I'm starting from. Do they have to have a level of work experience? What do you require from people to be able to embark on the apprenticeships with you?
We don't have a problem with that in the slightest. Your issue might be the employer might. Okay, is the simple part with that. So again, if you can get you, and I'm not sure, it might be a question we pass back to the guys on the panel, having either completed the apprenticeship in sort of Lily's case, or sort of what you've done beforehand. Did you get some work experience beforehand? Because that can be helpful, but might not always be practical. There's another option you could look at with people like JTL. I'm not saying we're the only people that do that. We do things like traineeships. Again, Dark and Taylor sound like the advocate for everything at this point, but they do. They'll take on some of their learners as a traineeship first. So that's another pathway people have taken just to see what they feel about being on site, making sure it's the right decision for them, and getting that level of work experience. That also helps them, and I noticed that as a question as well, with interview prep and things like that too. So it might even be, if you've left school already, and some of you might have done who are sort of on the call, if you have maybe not sure what you've done, or you've started a college course already this year and you're not sure what you're going to do, what you stop, maybe you're doing your A levels, we'll use as an example, and you didn't want to be sat in a classroom all the time, you've realised it wasn't right for you, and you're thinking, actually, maybe I can look at something like an apprenticeship for September. There's two things. One is an apprenticeship can start at any time of the year. You're kind of guided by college start dates for the college attendance, but it doesn't mean you can't start the apprenticeship earlier. So don't think it's too early to be asking employers now. If you're struggling, why not consider something like a traineeship or something like that as well, that might give you a taster and a lead way into those apprenticeships. Again, I noticed I followed Dark and Taylor, and I used to sort of support with the account management of it. So I do follow them on LinkedIn and things, but I noticed they're already advertising their interviews and things like that for the next cohort of learners coming through. They take on roughly 15-ish a year, just as that one organisation. So look at those companies who are offering that support. We've got support, and I think the guys have put some links on our website as well for our application process. Think about that interview prep. Think about, sort of who you could apply to. Look at things like Yellow Pages. Who are the local plumbers and electricians in your area you might want to sort of approach? Without giving too much detail so it bombards everyone, but there are trade associations for these trades as well. Look as if you were a customer. If you're a customer in your local area looking for an employer, for someone to come in and do your job for you, as the employer, maybe they could be your potential employer. Maybe they're the people that you approach to look for a job. On our website that we have, and I can see the links being put on as well. Again, some people will put their jobs advertised through the apprenticeship service, but don't rely on that. Don't think it's going to be handed to you on a plate. You're going to have to do some work to find a potential employer as well. Some people are lucky and they might have a family member, person down the road, uncle, aunt, or whoever who runs their own business as well, and might be able to give you that opportunity. Or speak to your family. They might have a friend who runs their own business who might be willing to give you that bit of experience and things as well. Anything that can support your application beforehand is not going to do you any harm, but it also helps you make the decision as to whether it's the right thing for you as well. You know, some of these apprenticeships are 4 years long. That's a long time to commit to if it's the wrong choice. So I personally would highly recommend any experience you can get for yourself for the point of application and for the point of making sure it's the right choice for you. Is absolutely the thing you should be doing. Won't do you any harm in the slightest.
Really good advice. Thank you, Nikki. If I can put that question to Megan and Lily, just to ask you about what inspired you. I'll ask you first, Megan. What inspired you to take this path? And secondly, did you do any work experience or prior preparation for it?
Yeah, so I was at school and we had, you do work experience for a week. And all my friends, they were all doing the standard beauty salons, nail salons, hair, working in restaurants. And it didn't interest me at all. So I said to my mum, and I've always been like quite a hands-on person. So I said to my mum, I was like, I want to do something different. So she posted on Facebook, and it wasn't actually electrical that I was looking for. It was pretty much anything. So her friend messaged her and I ended up going with him. Did work experience with him for about a week. I really enjoyed it. And then after, I stayed with him for about a year, I think, until I applied for Dark and Taylor. But yeah, that was it. And I just really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Lily?
Well, I just took an office job, and luckily for me, I think I was 17 at the time, left school, GCSEs, and didn't really know what to do. I thought I just want to earn some money, so I took an office job. Luckily for me, it was a gas company, and there I was in the office doing the engineers' wages one day, and thought, yeah, I'd like some of that. I'd like some of that. So I just asked my employer for an apprenticeship. A few of the contractors were a bit like, really, we've seen how she dresses in the office. She's not going to do that. She's a girly girl. Well, I was, but you can be a girly girl and do this job. And yeah, I asked for an apprenticeship, and they give it to me, and I stayed at the company for about 5 years until I was a technician. So obviously I done my apprenticeship with JTL, and it was just a really easy process to get on with them, and yeah, never look back.
Brilliant. Right then, so I've got another question for you guys, and it's for all of you actually. I'll start with Nikki, and we'll just roll back from there. So I'd like to know, what do you think the benefits are for a company who are going to take on a female apprentice?
I think we touched on this before. I think at the end of the day, not everyone's customers are male, and especially if they're doing domestic work, without question of doubt. I think there is a huge advantage of having the option of having female engineers coming into your home, and I think a lot more organisations are realising that, and I think there's a lot more opportunities. I'm going to use Dark and Taylor again. They're a classic for this, because I used to help them with their recruitment. They will literally look at female apprentices and proactively recruit them as well, because they realised this a long time ago. You know, there is a need for female engineers to be going out to their customer base, and if you do not invest in that way for having them and building them through your system and your way of working things, and give that opportunity from an apprenticeship level, then how are you going to build that into your business model as well? So I think there's a huge advantage, for so many reasons. But again, safety, security, vulnerable clients, people who bluntly say, I would rather have a female. Again, it could be anywhere. You know, our learners work in schools, in care homes, in people's domestic properties. The list is endless, and all sorts of advantages. Women can be more nimble with their fingers as well. You know, there might be jobs that they can do and tasks that they can do that a male would struggle with as well. You know, there's a heap of reasons why there are advantages to having a female. And I think there's a good balance on site as well. I have to say, you know, I'm sure the ladies would share this with me. I go on site, and in my previous role with JTL I go on site, there's an instant difference in reaction, the way, and in a good way. I don't mean that negatively in the slightest. It's funny to watch it occur in front of you, because it's almost, they become really respectful and really polite. The language change happens. And I do find it entertaining, but it does. I think it's a good balance on site. I think it's a good thing for industries to have a mix of anyone on site whatsoever. It doesn't matter age, background. Think of all those protected characteristics that are out there. Huge advantage to having that range on site. There really is.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nikki. Ibrahim, same question to you. So just to recap, what do you think the benefits are for a company to take on a female apprentice?
Well, I think the benefits to take on female apprentices would be, I feel that women, I feel like they're just more clear-headed. So men, when we get angry, we get kind of frustrated and angry and just start throwing stuff. Whereas women, they're calm, level-headed. They think a lot more. And, you know, sometimes they come up with really good solutions to things that we might not see. So I'm just talking in the sense of, like, in my relationship, I'll come across a problem and I'll say, let's do it this way. And my missus might say, no, well, why would you do that? That's going to cost a lot of money and it's going to be a lot longer and we should do it this way. And it's just, I feel like women have that mentality. So it's good to have that on a building site. And like Nikki said also, you engage in different types of conversations with females, stuff that you wouldn't, with males, you talk about football, this and that, whatnot. With females, you have a whole different type of conversation with them, which, I feel is nice as well.
Brilliant. Lily, what do you think? Why should companies target and encourage female apprentices to join them?
Yeah, same sort of stuff really. I remember I used to have to climb under the floor and do all the jobs in the little small spaces, and also having small hands when you're changing boiler parts really does help to get in all the little small spaces. So yeah, it just brings a different perspective. I've worked in a lot of properties where there has been elderly or abuse, and it's just a bit more settling for the women to have me there. I mean, I really enjoy the banter on site that you get. Like Nikki said, when I turn up on site now, I'm turning up to see my apprentices rather than actually doing the work. But a lot of the time they think I'm the cleaner, and then I start talking about the job and, oh, so why are you doing that, mate? Or yeah, and they gather I know what I'm talking about, and it just completely changed. They're like, oh wow, like they're quite shocked. But I just love that. I love that, doing that every day. I love going out on site and sort of giving back to the learners what I once done before.
And because now you've got these people that you're looking after, how is it changing for them? How have things evolved? What's the difference in your experience when you were starting out versus theirs as a female? Or do you have any females under you?
I've got one, that's all. But I'm hoping that that's going to grow, because I want to be able to get into schools and give my perspective and encourage more females, because I just think it's better coming from the horse's mouth, someone that's been there, done it. But I think JTL have been supportive throughout my career, and it's basically the same now, the support we give to our learners. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. I love these answers. Megan, I'll just ask you finally, what are your thoughts? Would you echo this, or is there anything different that you'd say around why an organisation should, be proactively targeting females for this, this industry? Oh, microphone.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same as everybody else. But obviously, I've worked in a lot of student accommodation as well. And obviously, you've got a range of women and male. And there's been a few times that women won't allow man to come in. So we've got an advantage straight away there. It's a lot better, I think. I think everyone should just employ women.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, then. Moving on to the next question. This is for Nikki. So, Nikki, a 2020 YouGov survey commissioned by JTL found that only 5% of females aged 15 to 18 felt that they had been encouraged to become a skilled tradesperson, compared to 14% of males. So, Nikki, what do you think needs to be done in schools and colleges to educate children, and in turn their influencers, parents, guardians, on the benefits of doing an apprenticeship?
I think even things like we're doing today. I think there needs to be just much more. Lily said it herself. She likes to be from the horse's mouth. I've done this, and again, Lily's a good example, because not only has she done the job, but then she's used that skill to progress and move into a different role as well. So it just shows how you can use that skill set to further it. But I think, for me, I've always done this. I've gone to like national careers events, speak to careers advisors, speak to teachers. I just think, we absolutely try. Our marketing team works really hard to try and access any place we can to make sure that we have a voice almost to encourage all learners, but females as well. We have a really good team who work on the equality and diversity side of things. Again, will attend almost anything. I would honestly say, if there's events going on, if anyone who's on the call is a part of that kind of cohort of people, don't be afraid to ask us. It might mean we can send you resources. It might mean somebody can Teams into a meeting. It might mean they can attend something. There's all sorts of ways we can do things nowadays. We just need to talk about this. We need to get that message out there as much as we possibly can, to increase that encouragement. And the only way it's going to happen is by people seeing more females on site. Again, that person hopping out of their van, filling up, and the people going, oh, it's a female. You need to see it. And I think, you do. We're a weird species. You will look around you and you will identify with the people around you. And if you're never seeing females in the industry, it doesn't help that growth. The first thing we need to do is get more females in, so it just becomes a normal, horrible word to use, but a normal thing to see. Yeah. And if employers and parents and grandparents and schools, careers advisors, if everyone doesn't get into that message and understands that, we're never going to change. It's like everything, what one day is an accepted thing, it takes so long to work on that message change for it to become
normal and just like an everyday topic. And I will admit that if I and I have never seen this, I've never seen a female jump out of a van, and I think if I did, it's bad that I would be positively surprised, but it's silly, isn't it, really? But
I love, give me my high vis, my boots, my hard hat. I love it. I'm proud to go on to site and have that on, because again, I love the shock on people's face.
I wear a pink one as well, and pink boots, and I've got a pink tool bag, so
love it. Thanks, Nikki. Does anybody else have any views on this? Just to recap what I asked, it was just about what can be done, in your opinion, about bringing schools into the fold and educating children and parents and guardians. And that's a big thing. I know, as a parent myself, you don't really want to be this helicopter parent, but you are going to, at a young age, you were there to advise and talk and make things as accessible and open as possible. Some are more aware and conscious of it than others, but do you have any more to add on that?
Yeah, I think schools generally push down the university route, and it's a bit unfair sometimes. I think apprenticeships are not really advertised in schools. It's just always been a sort of dream of mine before I joined JTL to go around to schools and give talks, and it's something we're talking about at the moment doing. And I'm more than happy to share my experiences. If I had someone come into school and give a talk about apprenticeships, I would definitely have considered it. I did not have a clue about doing these kind of jobs when I was at school. So I left and went and done an office job. I think there needs to be more career advice in schools and even in primary school, just to get that seed grown from an early age that women can and girls can do this job.
Almost like a why not? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. I think perceptions need to be changed around this, and it starts early on.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else to add from any of you? No, brilliant. Okay. Right then. So I'll start with Lily first on this question. And this is a question that asks, what do you think the importance of driving the apprenticeship agenda away from gender and more towards ability and expertise is? Now, we have spoken a lot about this, but I suppose if we can address the question kind of like in silo, obviously, if we could all forget the fact that we had a gender and just be based on our ability, then it would be a completely different situation that we'd be in now. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Lily?
I think it will take a long time, but we can start to build it up, and eventually it will just become the norm that there's no gender assigned roles. Like, I remember going out with a hairdresser who was a male and I was the gas engineer, and we'd go out together and people go, oh, you're the hairdresser then and you're the gas engineer. Like, no, like, we need to get away from these stereotypes in jobs. And it starts by people like me getting out there and promoting it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I've been there and done it. So I can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Definitely. Nikki, what are your thoughts?
I was weirdly thinking along a similar line. I was thinking, male nurses.
Yeah.
Male nursery nurses and, sort of preschool, primary school teachers. I only ever saw a male teacher when I went to secondary school.
Mm.
And it does come back to what you're used to seeing and what people expect. These will be decades probably. This is not going to be a short haul quick fix. The only way we can fix it is by having opportunities again like today to be able to actually get that message out there. We've got so Angela, who's been into the chat, her team have put together a lovely selection of those videos. So a bit like the video you had as the intro, there's a little set of those on our YouTube and things that you can see where you've got like the fuller story as well. We have to put effort and really work on getting that message out there. We won't give up. We've got the diversity and inclusion team that I said earlier on, that I know they've been working with Lily as well on this, because again, it really means so much to us that we have that inclusivity and we encourage as many females as possible. But again, I say it in a nice way. It is likely, as a female applicant, you might well find you're snapped up, because there are those housing associations, those, I can't remember if it was, I think it was Megan that was saying about the working on student accommodation. We work with companies that literally only do student accommodation. There's a whole range of employers out there that are actively looking for female apprentices. Don't be embarrassed. You might find it's even easier in a naughty way, because it sounds like it's almost selective that they're promoting that they're looking for the female applicants. Actually, they are. They really are, because there's so few applicants. You've got a much smaller pool. I genuinely think you've got a better chance of finding an apprenticeship. That sounds mean to the males, but actually it is a male dominated. You know, what do we say? 2% female. It's such a small margin. Don't be afraid to apply. You might really surprise yourself.
And I think, Nikki, this is something that's relevant. I did a lot of sessions for National Apprenticeship Week, and it was a variety of industries and sectors. And one massive theme that came out of that, and it sounds exactly like what you're saying here, is try and build up that confidence just to go for it. You know, don't let those internal barriers and what if stop you, because if you can get over that hurdle of, you know, like you were saying, making that call to somebody to have some work experience, or putting it out a Facebook post to see, do you know what, let's just see if this is really for me. That's kind of a big deal to a lot of people, but that can actually start you down a bit of a, like, it can start to snowball, and one bit of experience leads to another, and then your confidence has grown a little bit, and before you know it, there's potentially an application going through. One of the questions that have come through on the chat, which I think I'd quite like to pull into this, is what your top tip or a piece of advice would be for putting together and succeeding in an application. Obviously, we're talking about the fact that yes, females are very much desired and wanted, but we all want to be able to paint ourselves in the best light possible. So would you give any advice on, I think coming from you, Nikki, what you would say, but then from Lily and Megan, when you did your went through your application process, what you would do again or maybe not do again would be helpful to know.
So I would say two things that pop into my head instantly. One are, go through that detail that you do like. So I think Megan was saying just now that you liked doing hands-on stuff, you like being outdoors. Reiterate those kinds of things. Do you use small hand tools? Do you like looking at the workings of things and the mechanics of things? Explain those transferable skills, that lovely phrase that you keep hearing used, but those skills that they're going to be looking for, and make sure you get those in there. There was a question I noticed, in fact, I think it came up a couple of times on driving as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, if you're learning how to drive, willing to learn how to drive, huge advantage. If you've started taking a couple of lessons, get that on there. Say you've got a provisional license, you're learning how to drive. Some, and I know, again, and I think it was Angela that answered it, but some will ask for it up front because there's not a lot you can do without. And they will expect it. Some will give a time deadline. Some employers will give a time deadline and say, look, by the time you've completed, you need to be driving. It will, on the whole, it doesn't always, but this is realistically a trade where it's very helpful if you're driving, because you have less value to the employer. Again, sounds brutal, but this is the reality. If you cannot go out on your own and you can only be the passenger in a van, and, you know, you are restricted to the jobs and the tasks that you can go out and do. Again, certainly by the time you get to the end of your apprenticeship, the sooner you can learn how to drive, consider it. And if this is your first paid role as well, think about saving that money from your earnings, because you're going to be a lot more doing an apprenticeship with us than you are doing. And we don't encourage apprenticeship rate of pay either. We look at the sort of JIB guidance, and we can't make them pay it, but we recommend it. But we recommend that they're paid a higher level than a normal apprenticeship rate would be. You're going to have more than your peers might have. Think about saving money for those driving lessons and get that part of your journey started, because it's going to have a massive impact on your earning potential afterwards. Again, I keep sounding like I'm talking about money, but these are realities. So yeah, get yourself learning how to drive. So small hand tools, liking to be outdoors, very hands-on, don't like sitting at a desk, and the fact that you're learning how to drive are going to be very helpful things to have on your applications.
That is pretty much gold dust. Thank you. Yeah, Megan and Lily, if you can just give a bit of a line around either what you would have done again or what you wish you hadn't have done. I think it's always helpful to learn from positives and negatives.
I don't know about positives, but I can say a negative. I wouldn't, can't really swear, but I wouldn't talk badly about a previous employer.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the sense that, you know, some industries can be quite incestuous, and A, you've got people might know one another, and B, yes, sometimes not saying something is better than saying something at all, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Any more on that?
I'd just say, just be confident. If you're a confident person, you'll fly for this. And just take your time. You 9 times out of 10 you'll be put with someone that really wants to teach you. And I was put with great guys, and they looked after me. They called me like their little girl on site, and it was they just taught me really well. Just be patient as well, because this job can be frustrating when you're trying to fix things, and it can get frustrating. So you have to have some patience. So that always looks good on a CV, that you're a patient person.
Oh, well, fun fact about me. My boiler broke recently. The circuit board had gone, and the guy came round. The guy came round to fix it, and I honestly did think this man has got the literal patience of a saint, because and he needed small fingers as well. The things going wrong.
Yeah, trust me, I've been hours and hours on some jobs. But yeah, there's been jobs where my colleagues have been stuck for hours and hours because they've got big, chubby, stubby fingers, and they went, "Lil, can you come and sort this?" 2 seconds, in and out. So yeah, it does help being nimble sometimes.
Brilliant. Right then, just to everybody that's here in the audience, we've got just shy of 10 minutes to go. Angela's done a brilliant job of answering pretty much every single question in the chat. But if there's anything that we haven't covered, or you want us to pick back up on just in the last few minutes of the session, just pop it in the chat now. There was a question that I would like to put to both Lily and Megan. I know that you're at different points within your careers and so on, but there was a question from Holly which said, what do you think you've improved on most since doing an apprenticeship with JTL? That can be kind of now, or if you were to look back with hindsight. Lily, is there anything that you would say on that?
Yeah, confidence. Confidence has given me confidence in all aspects of life, because I never thought I could do this, and I did, and it just proved to me that I can do anything now. And there is literally, like Nikki said, there's so many different avenues you can go down. You can come off the tools like me. You could have your own business. I mean, how many female-only companies are there in the country? Yeah. There's only one that I know of, and I've done a few jobs for them. But I just think you could go into management, health and safety. There's just so many different doors that open once you've done your apprenticeship. And I mean, if you're 16 coming out of school, it's 4 years of your life. It's nothing, and it literally flies by.
Yeah.
So, and then you're earning great money.
When you talk about, because you're doing your college work, and I would say that time always goes fast if you're looking at like a school or a college or university term year. Does it work in the same way? So will you do your college work within term time, and then when it's, say, for example, a summer break, do you then focus more on doing the hands-on job side of things? Or is an apprenticeship different in the sense that you're always doing an element of study at whatever point in the year?
Well, you do get school breaks, but we assume that on that day that you're not at college, you're back at work.
Yeah.
So it's not like you get 6 weeks off like when you're at school.
No.
6 weeks, you'll be working.
Yeah, you're on the job. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
And because it's a physical manual job, you're learning predominantly your job on site at work day to day anyway. So you're learning all the back knowledge at college, but being hands-on, you're learning the majority. You're learning on site. So yeah, I think 4 years is nothing. I mean, I was a qualified gas engineer by the time I was 20, and you can go to university. No disrespect to anyone that goes to university, but you can come out with a qualification, get a job earning okay money, but with a massive load of debt.
Yeah.
Apprenticeships are free and you're earning at the same time.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer.
Any more thoughts on that?
The only thing I'm going to add, and there is method in my madness, is that if you have got a gap now as well, and you haven't already got GCSE grade sort of 9 to 4 or A to C in old money, then, you know, it is something worth doing, even if you look at doing it as a functional skill to level 2, because that will still be something you will need to do. Some employers might, a bit like the driving license, some employers might be selective on that and only pick someone who's already got it, because they know they're going to have to release you to do that on top of your college time as well. So say, for example, you weren't going to start an apprenticeship till this September, a lot of colleges will offer the learning for that side totally free of charge. And that might be something that you can get resolved, is the best way of wording it, beforehand as well. So if you want to, again, prepare yourself, but it also shows that commitment to continuing learning as well. So there's a huge advantage in that respect. So if I know it's not what people enjoy or doing, it's not people's hot topic is doing their maths and English, but you literally cannot get qualified and go through to what we call your endpoint assessment, your final test in these trades, without having your maths and English. Okay. So you are going to need to do it. And you know what, even if it's support online you can get, and you're not even working towards an exam, but you continue to build on those maths and English skills between now and starting your apprenticeship, do it. Anything that's going to make life easy for you on getting that maths and English qualification is worth your while. So if you're in that cohort of people who've already left school, you know you haven't got your maths and English to grade 2, grade level 2, or grade A to C, or grade 9 to 4. Too many options now, aren't there? If you haven't, take a look at that, and that's something that's going to really help you later on as well. So when we're talking about prep, I need to sneak that one in there as well. My hands kept going, I need to mention that.
Sorry.
No, you know, I just knew it was in my head. I was thinking it is something that you can help. And again, a lot of councils recruit, a lot of NHS will recruit. Sometimes they will shortlist based on things like maths and English as well. So again, to give yourself the best opportunity of getting that apprenticeship placement and being in with those employers, it will do you no harm at all. But anyway, it'll do you no harm because you're going to have to do it when you're with us anyway. But we don't stop you doing it. We expect a certain level because we don't want to set you up to fail. If you have a very low level of maths, you are going to struggle with these kinds of apprenticeships. And again, there's no nice way of wording that, because there is maths involved in everything you are doing on a day-to-day basis with these roles. You know, whether it's working out the measurement of the amount of cable you need, how much pipe you need, the angle of the bend you need, whatever it is, there's maths involved in these roles. You can't avoid it. There's no point in shying away from that. And don't get me wrong, you might find it easier because you're doing that maths based on something you're now enjoying rather than being in a classroom with a maths teacher. So I speak to people who are now qualified, absolutely love what they've done, running their own business, now got their own apprenticeships, hated maths, came out without any maths qualifications at all. But when they did it with JTL, because they were JTL apprentices and now were employers, they actually got it. They understood why they needed to work on those maths and English skills, and it made sense to them for the first time. But don't ignore your maths and English.
Just gold dust again there, thank you. There's been lots of links that have gone into the chat here, and Angela has given me a slap on the wrist. I'm sorry, it's Lindsay that's our chat hero today. She's been doing the most stuff, so thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for posting all of that information. We kind of come, the session's flown by. It's the end, really. We're coming to the end. Like I said, everything that we've spoken about has been either answered in the chat or links there. So before I just sign off, I'd say just have a scroll through there and take anything that you're looking for to save. The session is being recorded. It will be emailed to you as well. So it's not like we're going to disappear now and everything's gone forever. ladies, if I could just ask you just for a sentence, just a parting statement each, just around if somebody's thinking, you know what, this sounds great, I really want to do it, but there's just a little hurdle in their mind, whatever it is, could be anything. What word of advice could you give them to kind of give them that boost to just go for it? Nikki, let's start with you.
Just do it, honestly. Speak to us. You know, if we have regional teams as well who might be able to help. Speak to an employer. Again, do something like the Facebook post was brilliant. That's gold dust, Megan. You know, ask local businesses. Just any information you can glean, and just anything that needs to be getting a doubt out of your mind. Ask those questions. Remove them. You won't regret it.
Brilliant. Megan?
I think you've got nothing to lose anyway, so just go for it.
Brilliant. Nothing to lose, perhaps a lot to gain. Lily?
Yeah, if you feel you're more hands-on, you don't want to be stuck behind a computer all day, you want to be out and about, then it's definitely for you. Every day is different in this job. And that's one thing I can say. Every day is different. You meet different people all the time, different sites, different places. Yeah, just go for it. And if you do come to JTL, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you need any help or support throughout your course, I'm always here. So
you can see the pink bag in person as well.
Yeah. The pink boots, they don't get used a lot anymore, but occasionally I do the odd job here and there.
Right then, so this is my turn now to just thank everybody that's here, the panel members, the brilliant insights that you've given us, everybody that's here in the audience who's, you know, stayed around, still over 300 people listening, watching, asking questions in the chat. I do hope it's been useful, interesting, informative. It has definitely for me, from Career Map. I'd like to say thank you and goodbye. Thank you for a great session.
Bye guys. Thank
Bye.
you.